Do you have stiff shoulders? Take the flexion and extension test with me. Stand with your back to a wall. Step your feet as wide as your hips. Press your legs into the wall, your bum into the wall. Extend your arms in front of you and lift your arms up above your head. This is called shoulder flexion. See if you can press your entire back, including your arms and your thumbs, into the wall. Most people get stuck here, here, or even here. Second test is hyperextension. Arms at your sides and then back behind you. Interlace your hands and try to straighten your arms with your palms touching flat. Most people get stuck with their hands apart or even their elbows bent. If you're struggling with either shoulder flexion or shoulder hyperextension, it can really mess up your posture, especially if you're doing anything with your arms, like ball sports, racket sports, rock climbing, or anything that includes overhead hand movements. This video is for you. My name is Lucas. I'm a yoga teacher. I'll walk you through a very simple exercise routine to create more space and more length to free up your shoulders in this specific range. Let's take a look at the shoulder joint before we get into some stretches. Your shoulder is the most mobile joint in the body, which means it has the greatest range of motion. That's the good news. It's also highly prone to injury because of that amazing range, which means without strength and stretching, without space and mobility, you can really get into trouble with your shoulder. One other curious fact about your shoulder that many people don't realize is right on the roof here, there's a ligament. It's not a bony structure, but it's a ligamental roof. And this ligament can get atrophied and hardened and even collapse when we don't spend enough time with our arms overhead. With all of this in mind, we'll be working on creating more space up here in this arch. It's called your coracoacromial ligament, and also creating more length in our armpit muscles, our lats and our teres major, and also as we move back into hyperextension, some of these rotator cuff muscles and smaller muscles that support the shoulder joint. Before we get started, remember hit subscribe down below. It helps to support my channel and you'll get a new video every week. If you'd like to skip forward to the exercises, I always put a PDF down below in the description as well. Our first exercise is a hang therapy practice. I'm hanging from a bar that I've hung from the ceiling. I'll assume you don't have a bar, so instead open a heavy door in your home, like a front or back door, and hook your hands over the edge of the door. If it hurts your hands, use a towel over the door and grab hold. I'll start a timer for us for 30 seconds. With your hands wide grip apart, bend your knees until your arms are all the way straight. And to start off with, I'd like you to take about 50% of your body weight into your arms. That means my legs are still doing a lot of the work here. I'm lengthening my shoulders in that shoulder flexion range, so working my armpit muscles like my lats and my teres major. But most importantly here, I'm applying pressure to that ligamental roof of my shoulder that we talked about earlier. That's 30 seconds. Let's release and we'll take a break. We'll do 4 sets in total. I first heard about this practice from a medical doctor named John Kirsch. You might have seen this old book. It's mostly out of print, but this medical doctor started using this hang therapy with all of his patients who had shoulder problems with really amazing results. It's not a panacea, as he says, but surprisingly effective for creating more space. Let's do a second set. Step your feet a little as wide as your hips. Reach up, take a wide grip, bend your knees, and let's hang passively here. Again, for today, let's just use 50% of our body weight. I'm using a bar. If you happen to have a pull-up bar, gymnastics rings, or anything you can hang from, that's great. If you don't let that discourage you. Use a door frame and use an open door, put a towel over it and hang there. We just need to get about 50% of our body weight to get some nice opening in our shoulder joint. Good, slowly release and let it go. This is a practice, obviously, that takes some time to develop, but this motion is part of our genetic inheritance. We can locomote. It's called brachiation, when we swing like a monkey from the tree branches, but we never do. At least we usually stop by about the age of 12. And because of that, we lose that wonderful range of motion and that extra space in the top of our shoulder. Let's do round number 3. I've got my timer going. Take my grip, bend your knees, and let's hang here with 50% of our body weight. Now, over time, as you've probably guessed, you can scale it up and you can eventually take your full body weight, but you want to ease into this, not just for your shoulders, but also your grip strength, your forearms, your wrists need a little bit of time to acclimate. Your joints will all become more stable and those connective tissues more resilient, but it doesn't happen as fast as you would like. It'll take a couple of months to get there. Good, slowly release, and let's shake it out. We'll move into one final set. And if this hang therapy helps you with your shoulder mobility, but also with creating extra space, this is a practice you could do every day. Let's do one final set, 30 seconds, wide grip, bend your knees until your arms are straight, half your body weight loaded up into your shoulders, and we'll breathe here. Good, and slowly up and release. For this flexion pose, I have a stool, but you could just as easily use a coffee table, something low to the ground. Drop down onto your knees, touch your big toes back behind you together, and have your knees wide apart. Big toes touch, knees wide apart, my stool or my coffee table in front of me. I'll start my timer for 2 minutes, hinge forward, place your hands with your fingers spread and your arms mostly straight, a little bend is okay, and drop your head. This is a puppy pose, and relax here. If you're new to the science of stretching, when we do deep stretching, we use a 3-pronged approach. And the first prong, or the first principle, is wet noodle. And what this principle teaches us is that muscles stretch best when fully relaxed. And so in this case, that would be your lats, your teres major, some of these muscles of your armpits, maybe even a little into your pecs here, your subscapularis rotator cuff muscle. They'll stretch best if you can relax and melt here. Principle number 2 has to do with our breathing. We use an unusual breathing technique to help turn off our myotatic reflex, our stretch reflex. And here's how it works. You inhale through your nose to the count of 4. Exhale through your mouth with a ha sound for 8. And principle number 3 has to do with timing. It's called time under passive tension. And our objective is to spend at least 2 minutes in our deep stretching poses so that we have enough of a stimulus to actually create change, to create more space in terms of flexibility. We'll use 2-minute holds here for our passive poses today, and carry on with that breathing to continue to relax deeper into the pose. Inhale through your nose for 4. Exhale 8. Good. And slowly make your way all the way up and shake your arms out. This final pose is called shoulder pow, and it works simultaneously shoulder flexion and shoulder hyperextension. It's a challenging one. Probably will need a strap. Start off with my right arm up in the air, bend my right elbow, reach back behind me with my left arm, and I'll clasp the strap behind my back. Now, if you can, walk your hands closer together. Maybe you don't need the strap at all. Maybe your fingertips reach and you can clasp your hands, your fingers behind your back, and that works just great. Start our timer. We'll do again a 2-minute hold here in our shoulder pow pose. In this pose, you might find your elbow, your right elbow is pointing forward. If that's the case, loosen up your grip a little bit on the strap so that your elbow is at least pointing up towards the sky. If it's still angled, that's okay. But I don't want it pointing down towards the ground, so a little bit up towards the sky. Second little trick is you can gently, don't force your neck, but you can gently lean back with your head into your arm to give you a little added stretch here. So again, inhale through our nose for 4. And exhale for 8. Good, so in this particular pose with our elbows bent, we do get a bit of a different stretch. Your triceps come online, but we're still working those lats on my top arm, my right arm, my teres major, my armpit muscles as well. My bottom arm is a little bit different. We're doing hyperextension, but also some medial rotation. I know that just sounds like a bunch of words, but essentially we get into some of those rotator cuff muscles, specifically the two on the backside, a little bit into your delts and your traps as well. Breathe into this and try to relax. Gently leaning your head back, closing your eyes might help. And slowly release. We're at 2 minutes and shake it out. We'll switch sides for our left and final side. My left arm goes up, again taking my strap probably, reaching back behind me, clasping the strap. If you don't need the strap, you can work your hands closer together until your fingertips connect back behind you. My top arm here is in flexion. My bottom arm is in hyperextension. Very common to feel a bit of an imbalance. My left side here is feeling stiffer, my left top arm I should say. And here's my challenge to you. With shoulder mobility, if you are struggling, if you at the top of this class, you found that taking those tests, that flexion and hyperextension test, if you need some work, my challenge to you would be to commit to doing this simple routine, doesn't take long at all, less than 10 minutes, and do it every day for the next 30 days and see how you go. You should always practice this after, not before, any other form of exercise. If you're lifting weights or doing any kind of explosive work like racket sports, golf, any kind of swinging or throwing motions, definitely don't do deep stretches before that. They should be after. In terms of timing, the best time, if you can manage it, is right before bed. The nature of deep stretching and this breathing practice we do, it really sets you up for a great night's sleep. If you found this video helpful, my one ask of you is hit subscribe down below. It really helps to support the channel, and you'll get notified when new videos come out next week. If you'd like a picture tutorial of all the exercises we covered for reference, check the description down below. I always drop a PDF down there as well. If you like deep stretching, and if you'd like to learn more about health span, living your best life in the second half, I have a program called YOGABODY Daily, and you can train with me. I have new videos coming out every day. You can learn more about that at yogabody.com. Let's breathe into it here. 4 in through your nose. And 8 out through your mouth. And slowly release and shake it out. Hope you found that video helpful. Hopefully you're feeling more space and freedom in your shoulder joint. Great to have you here, and I'll see you in the next video.